Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Uh, it's actually a privilege to be again coming back here and presenting. I think a couple of years back I had presented here. I still remember. Uh, so what I would be doing today is that in the next 20 minutes or I'll just give a brief idea about what are the myths surrounding caste census, census which have happened. That is Telangana, Bihar, also from the Karnataka caste census, which is very important for us to understand and why caste census is very relevant in modern day India. So the first question which I would like to discuss is whether there is a constitutional basis for conducting a caste census. Whether what does our constitution talk about caste census? So as you all know, the famous management what gets if you measure something managed. Problem is with the caste and race. Like for example, in the US, they measure race. They find that various inequalities, disparities, and because of that, they are able to target schemes and many other programs to uplift those. The same thing is there in India too. If we don't measure caste, which are associated with this caste, which are associated with this caste. See, we in India many castes who are left behind. Like for example, they are educationally back, they are economically back, they don't have intergenerational. What will happen is that they will never get captured. And as we are seeing from various research work, recently Piketty, a famous French economist, has also mentioned that there is an increasing inequality which is rising, where the wealth is getting concentrated with very few people. And when it comes to SC, wealth is getting concentrated with very few people. And when it comes to SC/ST OBCs, the SC/ST OBC period of time. So data collection collected in India, like for example, before pre-independence, that is in the British era, there were cash census every 10 years, and the last cash census which was done was in 1931. And as per that, population was 52%. In the and the used the same census, and it estimated that around 52% of India is OBCs. Now, for example, one important thing I wanted to highlight is that so important for OBCs. If you see our constitution, OBCs is backward, while SCs, you know that this is happening for SC right after the caste census is being conducted for SC/STs, and caste as a data point is collected for them. Only for the OBCs it is not collected. Now, if you see SC/STs, what happens is that the main criteria for identifying SC/ST is historic untouchability. That is, those people allowed inside temple, those people whose shadow was supposed to pollute somebody, and then those where the priest will not enter their house, they will not take food in their houses. So that is very very visible criteria, and it is easy to identify the schedule. Comes to backward classes, OBCs, what is the criteria is educational and then socially backward. It is now, for example, if you have to find out someone who is educationally backward, we have to find out what is the performance in 10th, like representation in engineering, medical, postgraduate, what is the representation in IIT, representation, which are how many people from are represented in various of the administration. government. Like, for example, governors, IAS, IPS, cabinet ministers, chief ministers. So only after you get an idea of all these things, can we tell a caste is forward or a caste is backward. Now, this is where the OBCs, for OBCs, the caste census becomes happen is that we will not be able to identify who is backward and who is forward. As you all know, repeatedly the Supreme Court so many cases where reservations were given. Like one example I can give you is the Maratha case, the Gujar case, the Jat case. So many cases where the reservations were knocked off just on the want of empirical data. And even on issues like, for example, if relatively backward, like for example, take the 1 year caste, Tamil Nadu, they wanted to be most backward the Supreme Court clearly mentioned that if there is no data, empirical data to justify a inclusion in the most backward class, they cannot be included. So it is with this angle, what I feel is that the empirical data is reservations, and even and space, the caste census may not match all, but my friends, but my friends, I want to important amendment of which has happened to our constitution, which is Article 243D6 and 243T6, where the constitution creates political panchayat and municipal bodies. It is now OBC reservation between panchayat and municipal bodies. Without a caste census and without a constituencies be demarcated, it is my question. Many states, Maharashtra, Gujarat, elections have been delayed because the OBC demarcation has not happened. Dedicated commission to conduct empirical inquiry into the backwardness in the local bodies. The second one is provision local bodies. It is not to bridge the then provide political the municipality level or the panchayat level. The question of yes, the states have this is Some cross noise is happening here. So this is where what I feel is that on cash census, some of I think our honorable Wilson sir, our MP, he also raised this issue where census should be included in the concurrent list. That is both the state and the central list. Idea which is coming up. Now, again, what I want to mention is that, like, again, if you see Article 16.4, which gives reservation in public, in the recent subcategorization order, Chandrachud sir mentions about this very mentions that we have to look at the real effective representation. Real effective representation is what matters. That what is meant by real effective representation is whether a caste is represented in group A, whether they are sitting in strategic positions, whether there are IAS, whether there are cabinet ministers, whether there are holding positions of importance where they can influence the government and then the bring in some advantages for their communities. So, so why I'm telling you all this thing is that all these things require data. Now, if we have castes is represented adequately in Group A services, in IAS, IPS, we have to collect data. Without collecting data, we will never know what is the real effective representation of a particular caste. Like, so now again, one more important thing which I wanted to mention was Article 340. Article 340 of the Constitution, it mentions that there should be a commission, that is a backward class commission, which will collect and analyze data to find out the backwardness of every caste. So now you, as you all know, the first backward class commission was appointed in 1953, and that took the data of 1931. Again, Mandal Commission used 1931 commission. But in Mandal, many people have told that it does not, it is more of an expert opinion, and it does not reflect real ground level realities of today. Because see, there is around 60, 70 years gap. Obviously, when we are doing something using the 1931 cash census, there will be some gap, but that is the last data which we have had. Like, for example, if you see, many people tell that there is 52% reservation which has to be given as per even the Mandal commission finding, that is 52% of India is OBCs. But today it may be even more, because many classes have been termed as OBCs. So now, why I am telling you all this thing is that, see, there is a clear cut for getting empirical data for implementing reservation policies. So, and I'll tell you the Supreme Court judgment also. The Supreme Court judgment which upheld OBC reservation, that is the Indira Sahani case. What it mentions is that, see, yes, the OBC reservations have been given based on 1931 census, but you should revise this list periodically. You should conduct census every 10 years, and then you should change this list periodically. So, the cash census is very important for OBCs from that perspective, and it is legally and constitutionally also enabled. That is, there is a constitution and also by the courts to conduct a cash census, according to me. Now, it is, see, one more important thing which we have to realize is that caste census is a mammoth exercise. See, you collect details like caste, religion, age, sex, educational outcomes, economic outcomes, asset distribution across over a billion people. So you can see that it is a mammoth exercise. So one of the biggest issues with the caste census or a caste survey which is being conducted in various states is the authenticity and integrity of the data. What they are collecting should not be contested. Today, I was seeing in Telangana, once the caste survey results came out, a lot of OBCs protested against the caste census data because they are telling that the caste census, caste survey has found them less than what they are actually there. See, this problem is there in every time. Even in the British era, there were a lot of records, evidences which indicated that the upper caste enumerators underrepresented depressed class representation. That is, the SC/ST population was underrepresented, because as and when from 1991, after the Morley Minto reforms, Morley Minto Commission and other this thing, depressed classes started getting representation in the political space according to their population started getting reduced. Even Baba Saheb Ambedkar, in his famous article, From Millions to Fraction, he highlights how a depressed classes who were supposed to be millions, they started getting reduced to fraction. That is, that is because of statistical jugglery and other things. It is in this background, my friends, that the Census Act of 1948 was also formed. The Census Act 1948, I have to tell you that, see, there are very stringent provisions in the Census Act where if some individual gives false information, he can be fixed under the IPC. That is, it's an offense under the Indian Penal Code. Such a draconian laws are there. While if a states conduct that, if someone gives misinformation or some process is not followed, they cannot be fixed. So that lacuna is there. So what I'm telling you is that the integrity and the authenticity of the data is paramount. And one important thing, which, see, right now it is very clear that the states have the powers to conduct survey. They have the powers to conduct caste census and other things for giving benefits, reservation benefits to OBCs, SC/STs, or any groups which they want. But what my worry is that when they collect data, we should not end up something like Telangana. Like, for example, in Telangana, what has happened, the OBCs are very upset, telling that the data is contestable, that they are not able to believe that. So what I feel is that the central government at least should lay down some steps of data collection procedures, and also guidelines for getting the data externally and internally audited. So that once it is internally and externally audited, what will happen is that the reliability and the trust of the citizens in this data will increase. So, and one more thing, what I personally feel is that all the states should start, see, now once the census is included in the concurrent list, so what I feel is that they can also pass certain legislation similar to the Census Act 1948 in their own states. So that what will happen is that they, all the process, all the safeguards and all the SOPs are laid down for conducting a more authentic caste survey and caste census. So this is something which I feel which should happen. And then in the coming days, we can anticipate that the states will also be given a power to conduct caste census in the concurrent list, and it will be included in the concurrent list. Now, one of the important things what I have noticed is the data is collected in caste census, but we do not know why the data is collected. That is, for example, before doing a caste census, there should be a clear-cut idea of what this data is meant for. Like, for example, are you trying to reduce intergenerational wealth inequality? Are you trying to reduce economic inequality? Or you're trying to increase decisions? So what is, or you are trying to give subcategorization benefits? So because different types of decisions require different data. Unfortunately, what I'm seeing in the Bihar caste census, what happened is that they collected only certain type of data. I will give you one example. In Bihar, they collected the total employees of across all caste, total employees in government jobs. But what they did not do was they did not collect group A, group B, group C, group D representation. Now, if a scheduled caste employee is more represented in Safai Karmachari, his numbers will look very big. But he may be not there at all in Group A. He may be not present in Group A at all. So then just comparing the total number will give a wrong picture. So we have to be very clear on what we are going to use and what we are going to compare. Like for example, what happened in the Patna High Court, I want to highlight here. When the Bihar caste census increase in reservation was challenged before the Patna High Court, the Patna High Court mentioned that, see, if you look at the backward classes in Bihar, there are backward classes, there are extremely backward classes. So the backward classes, they had a better representation of 30.32% compared to their population of 27.13. So the Patna High Court asked, how can you tell that they are underrepresented? You overrepresented. So and nobody could quote like why this discrepancy had happened. But my friends, if we had taken the data at Group A, Group B, Group C, Group T level, have clearly been able to convince the court that the backward classes are not represented at Group A, and when it goes to higher levels like secretary level, principal secretary, the backward classes, they are not present. But unfortunately, because of this lack of like clear idea of what we are doing, we were not able to. The Patna High Court was against this. Again, was against this. So even like for example, what I feel is that something like executive level positions in PSUs, private sector directors, all these data were never collected. So what I personally feel is that whenever we are going ahead with the cash census, we should clearly know what kind of data needs are there, so that those things can be targeted and those things can be got. Now again, one important thing which came about in the Bihar cash census is the EBCs and the BCs difference. Now, if you see BCs, the BCs were found to be adequately represented. Okay, but when it comes to EBCs, what the data points clearly showed was they were never represented adequately in the government jobs, nor were they represented well in the private sector space. So there, the increase in reservation was needed, but unfortunately, because since EBC and BCs were clubbed, the court looked at both the things together. The entire case went for a toss. So, so what I'm telling is that like the cash census is needed for getting all these nitty-gritties, like for example, organized private sector representation, organized government sector representation. Like for example, I'll just give some data points from Bihar. In government jobs, even today, there was a negative representation of 13.48% for the EBCs. There is a negative representation in spite of, and there is a negative representation for 5.45% for scheduled caste. And when it comes to general category, there is a negative representation of 15.66%. That is more than their population they are represented. And if you go to organized private jobs, the representation is completely tilted towards general category. There is a huge overrepresentation of 28.3%, my friends. When compared to this, BCs, EBCs, SC, STs all have negative representation in private sector. So today, even in among the directors, there are a handful of directors from SC, ST, OBCs. So that is coming out clearly from this. The intergenerational wealth gap is very huge for EBCs, SC, STs. Many a times, many people tell that the BCs are landowners. They have backward classes. They have land. land tracts. They have huge businesses. But what the caste census data is showing is that, yes, backward class has some representation in businesses, but they have representation among businesses which has 2 to 5 employees. That's all. They are in very, very survival type of businesses. Okay, so they are not in businesses where they give employment to others. But if you go to businesses which are greater than 10 employees, 20 employees, it is very clear that their OBCs don't exist. SC, STs, though, they are not at all existing in the business arena at all. Where SC, ST, EBCs are represented as per Bihar caste census is that they are more represented in the laborer, that is construction labor, agriculture labor. They don't own any land, so they are not cultivators. They are not getting any farm income. They are getting wage income, like working like a labor there. So, as you all know, in agriculture labor, they receive very, very meager amounts. So that gets reflected, and what happens is that because of this, they are not able to educate their kids. And once they are not able to educate their kids, they continue in their age-old occupation, and this trap continues. So this is where what I feel is that caste census can make a big difference. And also my friends, like one more important thing is that the 50% ceiling. See, you as you all know, in the famous Indra Sahani judgment, the 50% ceiling was put on the reservation. So there is a controversy on this 50% ceiling, because if you see the Indra Sahani judgment, out of 9 judges, only 3 judges mentioned that 50% limit, absolute limit, should be imposed. But five judges held that the limit can be relaxed in exceptional circumstances. So now exceptional circumstances, if you see Bihar is the poorest state in India, and among them, the SC, ST, OBCs who are there in Bihar, they are the poorest of the poor. They are really the poor people, and as a result of that, exceptional circumstances exist, especially for EBCs, SC, STs, to increase to break the 50% ceiling. The same thing has happened in Tamil Nadu. They have placed it in the ninth schedule, and it is working well. So now, if you see even the promotion case, the SC/ST promotion case, the Nagraj case, the Supreme Court told that quantifiable data is required for giving promotions in SC/STs. So all these places, without the data, we are not able to get anything forward. And as we go ahead, the courts will start questioning more and more about this. Now, one last thing which I wanted to mention to you all is that apart from this, we all know that between the OBCs and the SC/STs, there are certain OBCs, there are certain SC/STs who have suffered more than the others. Most of them have taken, some of the communities have taken more benefits. So, in this aspect, even the caste census is needed for measuring the inter-se backwardness among these communities also, so that what will happen, we can channelize programs to those who have not benefited from the reservation policies till date. I'll just give you one example. Like in the recent EPW paper, like I think November 2025, in recent last year 2024, there is an article on Bihar caste census, a beautiful article has been published in EPW, wherein they get into the representational index. They calculate a representational index for every caste. Representational index of 1 means you are represented equal to your population. A representational index of 2 means you are 2 times more than the this thing, like population. Representational index of 0.3 means like you are much lesser than the population. Now I'll give you some points, my friends, what this article found out. The Kayastas in the Bihar, they are 4.26 times more represented than their populations. Look at this. Bhumiyas, 3.18 times more than their population. Brahmins were 2.30 more than their population. Even among the Muslims, like Sayeds, were 1.55 times their population. Now, if you consider this as an overall metric for SCs and OBCs, EBCs, it is very, very, very less. Now, for example, among the SC STs, Dusat and Mushar, together they constitute about 70% of the SC population. And look at this Mushar community, they have a representation of just 0.17. That's all. There is hardly anybody. Okay, so similarly, within the SC ST also, there are certain categories who have got more benefits. Like, for example, if you take Pasis, they have 1.28 times their population. Dobi, 2 times their population. So clearly, what we are seeing is that there is a relative, uh, like relative, yeah, yeah. So what I, yeah, yeah, I'll come down to the last thing. So what my friends like, the cash give various ideas. Like, for example, even it has talked about the graduate pool proportion, and then for example, when we see the Bihar census, what we can see that even today the SC ST EBC representation in engineering, it is very, very less. So what does that mean? The SC ST EBC's access for affordable quality education in private English school is very, very less. So they are not represented in English education. They may be going for school, government school, but they are not getting high quality English education. So all these developmental gaps we can bridge using budgetary allocation, like SC funds, etc. So my friend, so counting caste and collecting socio-economic detail is paramount for implementing policies and schemes of bridging the developmental gaps. I have still not highlighted the gap in political representation, but we know that there is a big gap there. It is with this intention that a caste census conducted by an independent agency is a need of the hour, and it is paramount for achieving the objectives of equality and reduction of concentration of wealth among a few communities. Also, caste census role is not just making particular group politically conscious, but rather using them to solve the problems of marginalized people who require handholding from various stakeholders. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, reference. Hmm. Yes, 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 it is there. It is there. Hindu OBCs and Muslim OBCs separate data is there in that. He has calculated that. I readily I don't have the report now, but I have seen it. I have seen that it is there. Hmm. No. Hmm. Yeah. See, the first thing is that among the Muslims there are clear-cut BCs. That has been identified very clearly, because even among the Muslims there are three types of Muslim. One is there is a hierarchy within Muslims. They tell, like for example, Sayyid, Pathans, they are all considered to be on the higher level. Then after that there are Harsals and Aljabs, I think. So they are considered to be lower. So the OBCs are there at the lower. They are the Pasmanda Muslims. So they are actually there is a clear cut case for uh, like OBC reservation in Muslim for the bottom two, not the upper one. Yeah. Am I audible now? Yeah. See, the thing is that in EWS reservation, what the argument of the court was, they did a very see, the EWS reservation is coming under 15(6) and 16(6). It's a separate article in the Constitution. So what the court mentioned was, it's the 50% limit is only for 15(4) and 16(4), not for 15(5) and 16(5). So using that argument, the 50% limit is applicable for that, not for the EWS. That is what they did, and then they knocked it off. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. It is November. It is in the November 2024. This thing. I'll send you the link. Huh? Yeah. Hmm. Huh. Hmm. 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 Okay. Oh. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. See, why this discrepancy I also mentioned was because, see, there is National Family Health Surveys which happen regularly, which gives an approximate population of OBCs in Telangana. So that is at a higher level compared to what it has been reported here. So there are other reports also which gives a higher population for OBCs in Telangana. There may be a certain difference, but we have to see because see, that can be understood only if they expose the data for external audit or internal audit. Okay, so once we do some auditing, we'll come to know whether where is the mistake and other things. But without anything, we can tell where is the problem. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kiran, and thank you, All India OBC Students Association, for organizing this very informative. Am I audible? Okay. So, and I listened to the Mr. Netrapal's uh, uh, just now, and he has given very top class kind of information. And I think because he is the one who is doing research work so intensively, so I think Mr. Netrapal should, whatever he told us just now, if it comes in a form of book, then we will be able to use it. People like me can use it in different forums also. So people like us, as Kiran told, we are, I mean, more into activism, and we are more into awakening the masses and organizing them and lobbying with the political forces. And few days back, I think some of you must be knowing that few days back I joined Congress Party about a week ago. So we are more into it. And as far as caste census is concerned, we have been trying to get it done for a long time, and it has been started by the UPA government too in a different form, and data didn't come out. And then Bihar government did it in a very crude form, and very few dimensions of the caste census came up. And now Telangana caste census is supposed to be finer and better than Bihar government caste census. But as the things have just started, and when we start something, the things begin and we make some mistakes. There are teething problems. Like every caste will say that our number is not adequately represented in this census. This thing came up in Bihar also, because every caste feels that they are more in numbers. And when the census comes, they feel that they are underrepresented. This census is not okay. So these things will come up. But at least caste census has started. And when it has started, it is a good thing that it will go a long way in the welfare of backward classes, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, in making policies which will help them. Otherwise, without this data, uh, we were acting like a blind person. Without data, you are just a blind and deaf person standing in a highway where there is a lot of traffic. So you cannot make decisions. So this caste census will also tell us about the specific castes. Because, say, if we take the example of Bihar, there are categorization of OBCs between BCs and BCs 1 and BCs 2. BC 1 is basically extremely backward classes, and there are different castes in EBCs. Among even EBCs, like Netrapalji said, they are very underrepresented in the bureaucracy. There are about 3-4 castes which are overrepresented, and 18 castes are there which are underrepresented. So there is a problem there also. Second thing is their representation in the political field. Like EBCs are not concentrated in assemblies or parliament seats, they are spread out all over. But there are few castes which are very highly concentrated in some assembly seats or parliament. So, in a kind of elections which we have in our country, the castes which are uh, high in number, their candidates get the ticket from the political parties and they are elected. And the castes which are low in number, they don't get tickets, and so they go unrepresented. So that is one of the problem which EBCs are facing, and there are other problems. But I am happy that these things have started, and we have begun. So we will be able to find out the kind of weakness in different castes also. Like in EBCs in Bihar, there are 3-4 castes which are very good in entrepreneurship, in business. But there are 18 castes which are not good even in, they are not represented in the bureaucracy, and they don't know how to do the business. And their assets and other things are also very low. So if we have data, we can make caste specific policies also, not just EBC's policies, because EBCs, OBCs, there are thousands of castes in EBCs and thousands of castes in OBCs. So ultimately, when the government will make caste specific policies, only then the backwardness of all the castes will go. So I think these caste census will go a long way in bringing these backward classes and scheduled caste in the mainstream. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
వచ్చినట్టు మాట్లాడిన ప్రస్తుతం 16వ తారీఖు నుంచి జరుగుతున్నటువంటి దాంట్లో కూడా మరి వాస్తవాలు వస్తాయా రావా అనే దాని మీద మరి అందరికీ సందిగ్ధతనే ఉంది. ఇవన్నీ ప్రాపర్ గా జరగాలంటే ఇంతకుముందు పెద్దలు చెప్పినట్టుగా మనం ఏదైతే కులగణన మీద మూమెంట్ చేసి ఇక్కడ ఉండబడినటువంటి పార్టీల మరి ప్రభుత్వాల యొక్క మెడలు ఉంచకపోతే మరి 100కి సగానికి పైన ఉండవాలని మనం చెప్పుకుంటా పోతా ఉన్నాం, వాస్తవం కూడా. కానీ 1-2% ఉండబడినటువంటి వాళ్ళు మనల్ని ఇంకా మోసగించేటటువంటి ప్రయత్నాలు కుట్రలే జరుగుతా ఉన్నాయి తప్ప మరి ఎలాంటి పారదర్శకత లేదనేది జగమెరిగినటువంటి సత్యం. మరి వాళ్ళు దేశవ్యాప్తంగా జరగాలనుకునేటటువంటి వాళ్ళ అధికారంలో ఉన్నటువంటి రాష్ట్రంలో వాళ్ళు రోల్డ్ మోడల్ గా ఈ రాష్ట్రం నుండి ఒక గొప్ప మెసేజ్ ని ఈ దేశానికి అందించాల్సినటువంటి ఈ కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ మరి వాళ్ళు మొదలుపెట్టిన రాష్ట్రంలోనే తప్పుల తడకలుగా పెట్టి ఇక్కడ ఉన్నటువంటి బీసీ సమాజాన్ని తక్కువ చేసి, అంటే 2014 వాస్తవంగా కేసీఆర్ గారు ఏదైతే సమగ్ర కుటుంబ సర్వే పెట్టిండో దానికి ఒక ప్రాధాన్యత ఏర్పడింది. ఎందుకంటే నూతనంగా ఏర్పడినటువంటి తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్రంలో మీరు నమోదు చేసుకుంటే భవిష్యత్తులో ఎలాంటి స్కీమ్స్ వచ్చినా, ఎలాంటి ప్రభుత్వ లావాదేవీలు వచ్చినా దానికి ఆ ప్రియారిటీ ఈ కులగణనలో ఉన్న వాళ్ళకి మెసేజ్ ఇవ్వడంతో వివిధ రాష్ట్రాల్లో, వివిధ దేశాల్లో, వివిధ ప్రాంతాల్లో ఉన్నటువంటి వాళ్ళందరూ కూడా వచ్చి మరి దాంట్లో నమోదు చేసుకున్నటువంటి వాస్తవం అందరం కూడా ఒప్పుకోవాల్సినటువంటి అవసరం ఉంది. కానీ అట్లాంటి దాన్ని వాళ్ళ పక్కకు పెట్టి ఉన్నటువంటి సమాజాన్ని ఒత్తిడి చేసి ఎస్కే సర్వే టైంలో దాన్ని ఎంసీహెచ్ ఉన్నటువంటి దాన్ని తొలగించడం మరి వీళ్ళ యొక్క దుర్మార్గానికి నిరసనగా కూడా భావించాల్సినటువంటి అవసరం ఉంది. కాబట్టి ఓబీసీ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ ఏదైతే ఉందో మరి దీన్ని దేశవ్యాప్త ఉద్యమంగా వాళ్ళ పేరుకే వాళ్ళు కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ చెప్తున్నారు, వాళ్ళ అధికారం ఉన్నటువంటి ఈ రాష్ట్రాలలో లేదు. సరే ఏది ఏమైనప్పటికీ ఇక్కడ ఉన్నటువంటి బీసీ సంఘాలు కావచ్చు, బీసీ స్టూడెంట్స్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ కావచ్చు ఒక రకంగా నైతికంగా విజయం సాధించినట్టుగానే మనం చెప్పుకోవాలి. ఎందుకంటే మొన్నటికి మొన్న వాళ్ళు వెంటనే అంటే అన్ని కరెక్ట్ అని చెప్పి వాదించినటువంటి ముఖ్యమంత్రి మరి వెంటనే ఇక్కడ ఉన్నటువంటి మన అందరి డిమాండ్ మేరకు మరి రీసర్వే చేస్తామని ఒప్పుకోరు. కానీ ఆ సర్వేని ఎంత పారదర్శకంగా చేస్తారనే దాని మీద కూడా మనం ఎప్పటికప్పుడు మనం నిఘా పెట్టాల్సినటువంటి అవసరం ఉంది. కాబట్టి ఆ రకమైనటువంటి ప్రయత్నం చేయాలి. ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే ఇవాళ అడ్వాన్స్ గా పార్టీల యొక్క పుట్టగతులు చెల్లవనేటువంటి పరిస్థితికి వచ్చి ఇంకా మిగతా పార్టీలు ఏదైనా ప్రకటించక ముందు కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ అడ్వాన్స్ అయ్యి నెక్స్ట్ బీసీసీఎం అనేటటువంటి మాట కూడా అది కూడా మన యొక్క నైతిక విజయంగా ఇక్కడ ఉన్నటువంటి బీసీ సంఘాలన్నీ కూడా భావించాల్సినటువంటి అవసరం ఉంది. ఇవి ఈ పార్టీలే కాదు, వాళ్ళ భారత రాష్ట్రం ఉంది. వాళ్ళు కూడా అధికారంలో 10 సంవత్సరాలు ఎలాంటి బీసీలకు అన్యాయం చేస్తూ అందరికీ తెలుసు. 34% ఉండబడినటువంటి స్థానిక సంస్థల రిజర్వేషన్ 18-19 తీసుకొచ్చినటువంటి ఘనత మరి వాళ్ళకు ఉంది. కానీ మనం అందరం చైతన్యమై మనం ఐక్యమైతున్నాం కలవగానే మొసలు కన్నీరు మారుస్తూ వస్తా ఉన్నారు. ఇంకొకటి ఏంటంటే ఈ పార్టీల యొక్క చిత్తశుద్ధి ప్రదర్శించాలంటే రేపు అసెంబ్లీలో ఈ బిల్లు పెట్టిన తర్వాత మరి 9th షెడ్యూల్ కాడికి పోయేసరికల్లా బీజేపీ యొక్క వైఖరి మరి బీఆర్ఎస్ యొక్క వైఖరి కూడా తెలిసేటటువంటి అవకాశం ఉంటుంది. మరి పార్టీలు మన వైపు పారదర్శకంగా నిజాయితీగా లేకపోతే భవిష్యత్తులో మనం ఏం చేయాలనే దాని మీద కూడా ఇక్కడ ఉండబడినటువంటి మేధావులు మరి ఇక్కడ ఉన్న అన్ని సంఘాలని ఐక్యం చేసి ఒక వేదిక మీదకి తీసుకొస్తే మరి ఖచ్చితంగా మనం అనుకుంటున్నటువంటి డిమాండ్ ఈ రాష్ట్రంలో కాదు దేశవ్యాప్తంగా కూడా నెరవేర్చుకునేటటువంటి అవకాశం ఉంటుంది. కాబట్టి మరి మేధావి వర్గం అంతా కూడా ఆ వైపుగా మరి ఇక్కడ ఉన్నటువంటి సంఘాలన్నింటినీ కూడా ఏదైతే అలా స్టూడెంట్స్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ వేదికలని ఏర్పాటు చేస్తూ ఉంటారు. మరి ఇంటెలెక్చువల్స్ ఫోరం కావచ్చు, ఇంకా వివిధ సంఘాలన్నింటినీ కూడా మరి మేధావుల యొక్క ఆకాంక్ష, వాళ్ళ యొక్క ఆశయం, వాళ్ళ యొక్క లక్ష్యం ఈ రాష్ట్రంలో 100కి సగానికి పైన ఉండబడినటువంటి జాతులకు అధికారాన్ని అందజేయాలనేటటువంటి తపనని మరి సాధించాలంటే అందరినీ ఒకే వేదిక మీద తీసుకొచ్చి మరి పోరాటాన్ని ప్రజలకు తెచ్చే విధంగా, ప్రభుత్వాలు తెచ్చే విధంగా ముందుకు పోతే 100% మనం అనుకున్నటువంటి కళలు సాకారం అయ్యేటటువంటి సమయం చాలా దగ్గరగా వచ్చింది. ఇవాళ అన్ని పార్టీల పరిస్థితి చూస్తున్నాను. బీఆర్ఎస్ బీసీల కోసం మాట్లాడటం అంటేనే మనం నైతికంగా గెలుస్తున్నట్టు. కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ త్వరలో నెక్స్ట్ అంటే రేవంత్ రెడ్డి కూడా నేనైతే కావచ్చు అన్నాడు అంటే అలాంటి వ్యక్తి ఆ మాట దానికి వచ్చిందంటే అది చాలా గొప్ప విజయంగా భావించాలి. కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ ఓపెన్ కూడా అంటాలి. ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే నిన్నటి వరకు సరే ఇప్పుడు మన లైవ్ లో మాట్లాడిన అమిత్ కుమార్ జైన్ గారు మరి ఇక్కడ ఏదో సమాధానం పరిస్థితి ఉన్నటువంటి వారు కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీలో కూడా మరి జాయిన్ అయినట్టుగా ఇప్పుడే మాట్లాడారు. మరి అలాంటి మేధావులందరూ కూడా ఇవాళ కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ ప్రతిపక్షంలో ఉంది. రేపు కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీకి భవిష్యత్తు లేదు. ఓన్లీ కులగణనని అన్ని రాష్ట్రాల్లో పారదర్శకంగా ఈ రాష్ట్రంలో పారదర్శకంగా చేసి ఆ ఫలాన్ని రాష్ట్రంలో ప్రజలకు అందిస్తే మిగతా రాష్ట్రంలో ప్రజలు చైతన్యమై మరి వాళ్ళకి అవకాశం వస్తుంది. కాబట్టి మరి ఆ పార్టీ వైపు కూడా వాళ్ళకు కూడా ఈ యొక్క మెసేజ్ పోయే విధంగా మనం అందరం కూడా మన యొక్క డిమాండ్ ని పోరాటాల రూపంలో మరి ముందుకు తీసుకోవాల్సినటువంటి అవసరం ఉందని తెలియజేస్తూ అవకాశం ఇచ్చిన ప్రజలందరికీ కూడా కృతజ్ఞతలు తెలియజేస్తాం.
Thank you. What Jana Yadav is actually saying that he was actually mentioning about one of the aspects that are related to the caste survey that happened recently in Telangana with the pressure from BC intellectuals and also from BC organizations and student organizations and associations. The government of Telangana has actually come down and ordered from the BC in the state to enumerate because they have concerns with the number of OBCs in the state. We now the now we have kept the influence of the state and also on the political parties. The political parties itself they are saying that next CM will be from the BC community. And we also mentioned about importance of civil society organization, intellectual organization, and student organizations in intensifying the movement in the state. Thank you for your valuable message. Uh, we have with us Chiranjeev Garu, who is actually a retired AS officer. He was the commissioner for HMDA for I think maybe longest period we can say in the state. Uh, After his retirement, he is into activism. Started he now the convener for OBC intellectual forum in the state. Was also written so many articles on the OBC issues on caste census with the data. And he is also instrumental in raising this, some of the technicalities in this survey, issues, concerns with the recent survey. And the government, we also represented to the government and with we can say, is one of the instrumental in keeping the pressure on the Telangana government for ordering the research. So I request Vijay to address this roundtable conference.
Thank you, Kiran. Respected Professor Prabhanjan and Janaya garu and Ramakrishna garu.
Professor Bhagyabukhi.
Professor
Bhagyabukhi.
And my electoral forum members, Champur and our beloved Caste Association.
This is about
All India Federation, Rao, and media students. In fact, it gives me immense pleasure in speaking on caste and its roadmap in this August gathering. All of you know that this caste census has become a national agenda during the recent Lok Sabha election. Rahul Gandhi has spoken at least at every meeting about this caste census and removal of caste, social justice, and enhancement of reservations, etc., etc. So now it has become a very burning and potent issue in this country. The demand for caste enumeration is not new. In fact, during the British Raj, from 1881 to 1931, every 10 years, decadal caste census was held, and during that period, you enumerated all the castes in this country. So this part of Hyderabad, actually, it is in the Nizam state. Even in the Nizam state, also they have enumerated all the castes, and they divided this area into three parts. One is the Hyderabad region, second is Marathwada, and third is Karnataka. So in three regions they were calculated and they were given the figure 1931. We have about 10 lakh population in the Nizam state. So this was the figure at the time 1931. So, but after independence, when census was supposed to be held in 1951, file was circulated to Jawaharlal Nehru, and he said he doesn't want any enumeration of the caste in this country. But the SC, there are some constitutional safeguards are there. So for them, it needs to be enumerated. Because in the Article 332, SCs and STs have been given proportional representation in legislative bodies. So they need number. So for that, he has agreed. But whereas in respect of OBCs, he has not. So since from 1961 onwards, enumeration of the castes of OBCs and other castes have been totally ignored, and nobody has taken up this path. So even the first BC Commission, Tata Khalilkar Commission in 1953 and Mutton Commission in 1978 also, they also recommended caste census to be held in this country and know the exact socio-political development of these OBCs. And even courts also in many judgments, uh, quoted they were said that caste census to be held in this country to know the exact number of this OBC population and also their socio-economic conditions. In spite of all this, no political party has exhibited any interest in conducting caste census. In 2010, the present ruling party, BJP, when it was in opposition, they raised this issue in parliament and they asked the then ruling party Congress to conduct caste census in 2011 census. And the parliament also passed a resolution unanimously in 2010 to conduct caste census in 2011. And even the then Social Justice Minister Veerappa Moily also stated that they are going to conduct caste census in 2011 census. But the very next day, Mr. Chidambaram, the then Home Minister, is stated in the Rajya Sabha that they are not going to conduct caste census. They were going to conduct only socio-economic caste census. That's a different from the census. So they have conducted socio-economic caste census, but they are not linked that figures so far. In 2018 also, BJP government, they the then Home Minister Rajnath Singh also said on August 31st in Lok Sabha that caste census, they are going to conduct caste census in 2021 census. But whereas in Supreme Court in 2021, with respect of Maharashtra versus of India case, with regard to disclosure of the information socio-economic caste census, they find an affidavit stating that they are not going to conduct caste census in 2021 census, and also they are not registered also, and they stated that it is not. So even now also, they are telling that if we have to conduct the caste census, it is going to divide this country, and they are propagating all false constructs in the entire country. So I wrote several articles on this caste census, and dismantling their myths. Their first myth is that it is not peaceful in India. So they are circulating that caste census is not peaceful because in India we have so many castes, and one state or one caste may be BC, in another state that caste may be OC or that caste may be SC. So in that case also we have said that if you take one particularly Mahendra community in Telangana, so Mahendra community in Telangana, it is a BC community. If you go to Karnataka, it is yes. If you go to Maharashtra, it is yes. So you are getting community in Karnataka is yes, and in Maharashtra it is. Are you not stopping? Are you stopping the Mahendra caste census? Similarly, there are many castes of the washerman community in our state. If you go to North India, in about 6 to 8 there are. So they are conducting they might treating them as justice only. So hence your argument is not correct. Similarly, they are telling that in India we have so many number of castes and so many things are there. Till that almost every state is almost all having one BC community, a BC community list. So you can take that list and also you can enumerate. Today in India, every state is authorized to maintain its own BC caste under Article 24A3. Article 24A3 actually it was brought into one or second amendment. So now every state has got its own BC OBC list. Even central can maintain its own list under Article 24A. A1. So when Constitution is giving power, center to maintain their own list and states to maintain their own list, already states have enumerated and then have their own PC caste, then what is the problem enumerating caste in this country? The only thing is that is their mindset. They also say that by conducting caste, demand for reservations will go up. We are not asking actually for reservation. We are asking population first. Actually, by enumerating caste, you can also cut down the cost demands from other communities. You can see that Marathas demanding, demanding, so many communities are demanding. By conducting caste census, you can effectively encounter their claims for inclusion in OBC. That also they are forgetting. And similarly, the caste census, they claim that caste is divisible. And then you are collecting information on religion. You are collecting information on religion. You are collecting information on language. Is it not collecting information on religion? Then why collecting information only on caste? And if you see, even in the developed countries, in USA, the Indian census also they collect information on the Negroes, Black Indians, and others. It's not India alone. So even in America, also they are collecting. So this is all false narrations they have created and circulating in the community. So we already get several articles they encounter condemning this kind of false narratives. Similar and in Telangana, somehow they have conducted caste census. So here we have some experience when compared with Bihar and stated that Bihar and Telangana and how to scale it up entirely. So in Bihar, they conducted only on 17 items. In Telangana, we have conducted on 58 parameters and 17 sub-parameters. Total 75 parameters in Telangana we collected information. So we have certain experiences in Telangana. First of all, by collecting individual property information, people are definitely going to entertain certain apprehensions. Why government is collecting? Tomorrow I will not get some benefits from the government. So they don't want to disclose anything. And even political parties, they will try to politicize here the document also in Telangana. So all political parties say that why should I give information? Why you need that information? In fact, government should not go into that one in details. But whereas government are that by collecting this information, we can serve better the poor people because we can identify actually who are the poor and obviously we can implement the schemes for them. But it has taken a different turn. So all political parties, except the ruling party, they have questioned the collection of this property, individual property. Second thing also, they stated that why you require 75 cars. So actually, Telangana wanted to collect information on political backward because both have asked your BCs means they are not socially and educationally backward. What constitution says BCs means are not for socially and educationally backward. But whereas under Article 243D, which empowers for the D6 and T6, which empowers the local reservations in local bodies, particularly in panchayat and municipalities, which says that the BC means they are not recognized socially. They said that state can enact reservation for BCs in local. So which BCs? Question is whether they are socially educated or politically backward. So courts have interpreted that it should be politically backward. Then we have to establish in this survey that these people are politically backward pieces. Further, they have added certain column. So here also people have questioned. So government has failed to clarify that issue to the public. And second thing is that government has simply conducted this survey, but they have not taken that much serious. So if you see Gujarat, it has been done at the interest of the CM. So he interviewed personally about 27 times about this castle. In Telangana, not a single time it was reviewed by the highest executive of the state. So that makes a lot of difference. Similarly, in the initial days, there was no publicity for this caste census. So then, what we thought that better to involve caste association in the survey. So I have collected information of the caste associations nearly 800 in the state, the district wise, so many, and I gave this information to the this Congress party IT in charge and asked him to make a phone call to all these people. So they did phone calls to these 800 people and they talked to them with their active involvement, at least in the rural area. You can see that 90% survey has been completed. Otherwise, it would not have been. I have collected this information from the backward class department, this 800 leaders information, and we will give it to them. After the talk, in our area, we saw that some people actually not cooperated and talks about these surveyors, monitors, not many issues have come to the light in that. But whereas rural areas somehow it has gone smoothly because of the involvement of the association. So if you want to conduct caste census, we should also involve the caste association or civic societies. Otherwise, it is not possible in Telangana state also. So third is that in Telangana, after publication of the report, we have seen decrease of OBC population and increase of forward caste population. So that also there are many reasons. I will tell you. In respect of OBC population, there was a decrease of about 21.50 lakh population. Actually, we are having 1 crore 85 lakh population in 2014 socio-economic survey. So in 2014, then PRS government they conducted socio-economic survey. So that information were already available. What mistake they did not publish it. Because of that, it has not been official information. But whereas we have the entire information, each caste-wise population release. So out of that 1 crore 85, we have also analyzed. We say that because 23 caste deleted that population, actually 23 caste population, I for my I for 2014 census, it is only 1,73,000. We have deleted that, and after it is only it is 1.86 population. So that is there on record. We will give that information to anybody. They want the caste-wise information, we can give it. One thing. And the second is that after 186, now it has come down by 21.50. So reasons for that because there is a lot of migration in the BCSC community. So the people have come from all the way from Surat, Bhiwandi, Aurangabad, Mumbai, and so many other places. Some people even come and they have come from the Gulf. So there was a 100% participation by the public. This time that kind of atmosphere was not generated. So hence people did not participate voluntarily and in. So that is one reason. Second is that why was the population has gone up? So it is that because that day, that time census was survey was conducted in 1 day. So there was no chance for the double. Whereas this time we have conducted for about 20-30 days. Some OC people they will have houses in the rural area at the district headquarters at the state headquarters. So what happened? There was a chance for double enrollment for this OC. So that's the reason OC people population might have gone. That is only my assumption, it might not be that. But there is a chance for them to do this. And even in the data entry, always problems in the data entry. Some political parties have given a call that whenever the caste column they ask you said that Rama is my caste or my Hindutva is my caste. So some people have written that Jai Sri Ram. Because of that, so actual caste is not known to anybody. So they what the data entry they just kept it OC. So like that, there are many reasons, and even the government has not published the other religious information also, Christians, Sikhs, Jains, etc. In 2014 information we have that. So whether they are included in the OBC, the converted Christian, or they are in the OC also do not. So there are certain fundamental defects in the report, so which are given lot of attention to the public. So the very first day when government released that on February 2nd, I saw that there is something in that report. So very next day, I gave the report to all our people and Malana also. I gave it to Malana also. He blasted in his daily this thing, in his website. So like that. So there are several errors are there. Then we have represented the government. These are the errors. And even if you see the population of Telangana, as per this latest survey report, it is only 3.5. And they are telling that only 3.1% households are included. So even 3.1% households include also plant 3.70. As per 2014 survey only it is 3.66. That means during the last 10 years only 4 lakh population increased. That whereas the OC population it increases from 10.65 to 18 lakh. If for one community it increases 8 lakh, whereas entire Telangana population increases 4 lakhs, and BC population increases 21.5. So seems to be not, and we give this tabular information to the government, and they also seen it and they discussed it and they agreed for the conducting again survey for the left out houses, and also they said that those who are not enrolled, those who do not have houses, actually BC community people, most of these people are they stay in the rented houses. So these enumerators they did not collect information from the rented houses at all because owners did not allow it. So that also happened. So many gated communities also in Hyderabad did not allow it. So whenever we have to do this kind of massive exercise, there needs involvement of everybody from top executive to below. So if you just leave it to somebody to collect, and if you depend on the reports, all this kind of reports only will. So then again, government has taken it up, and now that left out houses they are conducting again enumeration, and let us see what kind of report we are going to deliver. So the experiences shows that government, if it's not involved, definitely this kind of half-cooked information will come. So now, if this example needs to be implemented, and process also needs to be. I already told you the process that since people are not showing any interest, we have collected the information of the caste association, and we have talked to them and we have made them to involve in the caste. So we have to document the process of Telangana this experiment, and we can make a nationwide document also. Similarly, the defect noticing survey as well as in the report that also can be documented and also can be published, and that will be used in the national level caste census. So caste census as such definitely is going to change the fate of the OBCs in this country. Just because of Mandal Commission report only in this country, in 3-4 states in North India, OBCs are problem. Because it creates such a kind of atmosphere. When OCs seriously opposed reservation for OBCs in government jobs, that made the OBCs to unite and fight for their political work. So because of that, you can see in the Bihar, UP, OBC governments have come to power. In North India, Madhya Pradesh and other places also, OBCs are now a big force in the country. So once this caste census report also come published and is conducted and published, definitely OBCs are going to see what kind of injustice are done to them and why they are backward and needs to be done for them. Definitely, they will demand for their rights in the country. Today, you see reservations. Every community is having reservation. In this country, no community is left out from the reservation. SCs, as per their population, in proportion to their population, they are having reservation. That is 15% in the central government, whereas 18% is 15% in the state. STs 10%. EWS, OCs, they are not more than 12% in this country and 10% reservation. If you come to OBC, it will be definitely 60%, because when Mandal enumerated based on 1931 population, it was only 52%. But after Mandal, several castes were included in the OBC. Definitely, the percentage will, so it will be 60%. Then why 60% people shall be given 27% in the sector? Even the 27% is also not implemented in right spirit, true spirit. If you see the central list, there are about 40 lakh jobs are there in the central government. 31 lakhs have been filled up. Even this filled up posts in category A post, category A and B posts of the government of India, OBC percentage just 3%. If you come to C category, D category, it is 23%. Even the 27% mandated reservation is also not achieved so far. So that is the issue. Even when that kind of issue is in there, again they have created one more layer of creepy layer. They are not allowing OBCs to access jobs also. So these kind of injustices are being done in this country to the OBCs. OBCs have been lost several lakh jobs from 1947 to till date. So OBCs, once they realize, definitely they will fight for the caste census, and also they will fight for the right to share in this country's wealth. Even if you take country's wealth also in the land, how much percentage OBCs are having. Even in the um, business industry, trade also, they will question it. If you take now, as per the Rural India Report 2024, there are about 185 billion dollars in billionaires in this country. Out of this 185, 18 people are in Hyderabad. So out of 18 people, 18 are OC, not a single list. And OBC percentage is decreasing from 2014 to 22 24. In 2014, it was about 19%. OBC percentage increasing. That is the declining percentage of the OBC in the wealth also. So because government is so much of scoops and benefits to the upper caste industrial. If you see, I will support always one example. To take Reliance Geo, Anil Ambani is there. So government of India in the last 10 years, they have waived off about 16 lakh crores to the industrialists. 16 lakh crores. And this Reliance Geo fellow, Anil Ambani, he took about 48,000 crores from 30 banks, and he was given waiver of 37,550 crores. He paid only 450 crores, and he was given 37,550. Whose money? So when a common man goes to the bank, banks will never wholeheartedly lend a single pay to this fellow. They waived off about 37,550 crores to one single year. So because they are all upper caste fellows, and all these take up to 16 lakh crores loan waiver also, 90% definitely they are only OC field. There won't be any OBC. So these kind of injustices are being done every day in and day out in this country. So for OBC, there is the only one way. They must fight for the caste census, and they must fight for all their rights, particularly in the wealth sector. So unless you get your right to share in the wealth of this country, you can't live it by life in this country. So the equality that is instead in the constitution, it is never going to be realized. So whatever you speak, the social justice, social, political, and equal, it cannot be done. So for that, what we have to do is that we have to elect our own PC people as our leaders. Unless and until we have representation, fair representation in the legislative bodies, particularly Lok Sabha and state assemblies, we are never going to get fair treatment from these people. So politically, we have to now become conscious, and we have to educate our people, particularly OBCs, who are just sold for votes, who are just sold for money and liquor in the elections. So now we have to tell them that your future is important. So unless you educate them, organize them, and make them to fight for their rights, the social justice is just a mere It's a big dream for these people, and it's going to become a myth. So what I say, that the caste census is going to become an X-ray for the Indian society, and is going to analyze what kind of diseases the body is having and how best we have to. So even Rahul Gandhi is also always talking about this X-ray. So here also I request people to make the caste census at the national level is an important area, so that only we can progress. Otherwise, states conducting on their own is not going to make a much difference. So it has to be done at the national level, and it should be done because the ruling party they promised twice that they are going to conduct caste census, and twice they betrayed. So now it is our the OBC people to fight for the caste census and get it done, and also fight for the legitimate share in the jobs, employment, and wealth, and in lawmaking bodies. So with that, I will conclude it. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. Like after listening to the talk, it's like a remembering grandson who says organic intellectual. So not only work with height and work on the four walls in the four walls, but also go to the grassroots level and work with the masses. So you're working on the both sides. Thank you, sir. So we will take Suraj.
One second.
One
Some
question.
clarification.
Sir, just
One,
one.
1 second, sir. Sir, we are very happy, sir, hearing you here. For last few months, we are observing your article just now, and
Surya.
we are very happy, sir. You are leading everybody in our state, your beloved state.
అంటే మొదలు చెప్తాను మీరు నోటీస్ డిలీటెడ్ క్యాస్ట్ లో నేను కలపతాను అంటే ఓన్లీ దేవ్ ఎనాక్టెడ్
Yes, sir.
దేవ్ ఎన్హాన్స్ రిజర్వేషన్ టు 63% on the population. So what they have done, courts have struck down that it is go against the Supreme Court judgment in Indira Sahani case and other cases, so it should not cross 50%. Not Bihar government has filed a review petition in the Supreme Court. It is pending. So once it is cleared, then only we can go. Actually, whether it
So, 50% ceiling is
yeah,
a
mandatory.
problem.
As far as my knowledge,
It may come for us also in our.
yeah, definitely it will come. So even in Tamil Nadu, what happened in Indira Sahani case at that time, only they too are 50% reservation. They are implementing it from about 1980 or 1981. This 50% reservation in Tamil Nadu. So all of this in 1992, when Indira Sahani judgment reported, then the then Chief Minister Jayalalitha. So she enacted one act in Tamil Nadu Assembly and forwarded to central government for its approval. So central government passed that act and they included in the ninth schedule. So because of they are getting that protection. Even the ninth schedule also under review in the Supreme Court, but so far Supreme Court has not taken that 50% reservation of Tamil Nadu. Recently also it has come for hearing in the month of December. So again they have postponed it for another 2 weeks. So every time it is coming, they are postponing. It's better known to them, for the reasons better known to them. But it is also still under scrutiny.
Why Nitish Kumar is not interested in ninth schedule? Why he is not interested?
See, what happened
interested?
in Supreme Court also decided in judgments that they will review even ninth schedule inclusions also. So even any item included in the ninth schedule also they want to be initially ninth schedule why they have created under article 32B or 31B. What is the 31 or 32B? Whenever you see any judgment, in order to overcome the court judgment, legislature is empowered to pick an act. So under that they did including ninth schedule. So ninth schedule law actually land reform laws was there previously. This land reform laws was struck down by the courts many a time. So then government enacted one ninth schedule. Under this, if any land reform laws are included, they are not questionable in it. Court has not should not take publicity of this court. So that is the reason.
My last question. Uh, are you thinking that caste census will be successful in Telangana sir, after taking?
Let us see now. It's premature to comment on
Yeah.
it, but let us hope it
With
will.
your valid experience and
See, not many mistakes have already been kept into the system.
uh,
To rectify it, a lot of exercise needs to be done. So only one thing that I can say that government has done one thing. So let us, if it is really the going to get up to 42% to visit the state legislature and send it to the center, and center also supports it, it is a great move to the ABC people. If center won't accept and if they reject on one or two some silly issues, filthy issues, then this all entire captaincy does not go to help people. But ultimately, in local body, we need to showcase that these people are politically backward. So that further the census will be used.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Uh, so we have, sir, thank you, sir. We have already, thanks for this. So we have with us Professor Suraj Mandalji, who is from Delhi University and from the History Department. He is also grandson of Sri P.P. Mandalji. Uh, and like his grandfather, he is now leading the social justice movement across the country. He is connecting both north and south with his writings, with his activism, and it's inspiring so many youth in this country to take up this social justice agenda and deepening of this social justice movement in this country. He's also vocal on different platforms, not only on grounds but also on social media platform, uh, writing on different issues related to the social justice. We request Professor Suraj Banerjee to address this roundtable conference.
Uh, can you listen to me?
Once, sir, once, Ganesh,
Voice,
increase the
voice.
volume. Bro.
Can you listen to me? Is my voice coming?
Sir, 1 minute, 1 minute. We are increasing the voice.
Thank you, Kiran. I'll just take
Sorry,
4-5 minutes. One request that kindly mute the mics, because what happens is all the time somebody was speaking, it was echoing. So I couldn't get many of the earlier speaker. Many sentences couldn't be very clear. So one request that, and sir, I'll just take 5 minutes. I'm sorry to join late because I had the impression that the this talk was at 9 p.m., 8 to 9 p.m. But I've just come from the university and I found that it was right now. So I've just connected very hurriedly. You have written two things are very clear. One is that Telangana's caste survey is in, uh, I would request to mute the mic for just 4-5 minutes till I finish. Uh, what happens is the a recent survey of Telangana is very has the inferences which are very doubtful. They are manipulated. They are meant to be mislead the people, and this has been observed by many people whom I have heard in Telangana. In Bihar, this problem was not there. However, there was a speech of Rahul Gandhi in Patna about 15 days back when he said that he used the word in Hindi, farji, which means fake caste survey report in Bihar. However, I want to inform all the listeners over here that the survey which happened in Bihar was under scrutiny of many agencies, and there were many times interruption by the High Court, and ultimately the Supreme Court, when it gave its consent, the whole exercise was done. and this exercise was supplemented by economic survey of all the castes. So broadly, whatever results are there, everybody has accepted it, except when the home minister of this country went to Bihar. He said that the Muslim population and the other population have been inflated. However, he didn't have any source to prove that. The union government is not going on the most important thing, which is constitutional provision of holding holding census, in which caste can be counted, which was there as a unanimous resolution of Parliament in 2011. In 2011, the Parliament took a unanimous resolution, and at that time, the Congress government, two important persons, both P. Chidambaram and Pranab Mukherjee, had manipulated, and they handed over the remuneration of caste to the Ministry of Urban Affairs and Rural Development, and asked NGOs, some of the NGOs, to do that. Even the result of this, and 5,000 crores was allotted, but the results have not been as yet brought before the public by the BJP government. Last point which I want to very clearly appeal and stress over here is that you have rightly written what will be the roadmap for the census of the nation, which is constitutionally done by Commissioner of Census to count the caste. Let me tell you, sir, with all the kinds of meeting, and I congratulate especially All India OBC Students Association and Kiran and all our friends who are present over here. And I have met personally some most important persons in Telangana and Andhra who are very interested in this. Until and unless we have agitation on public agitation, that is a mass agitation, this survey or this census, which is stalled just because they don't want to count the caste. BJP does not want to count the caste. RSS is vehemently against counting caste. That is why it is being delayed, and until and unless the whole country and backward classes people especially come together and show their strength, even on one occasion, because I have personally appealed this to Rahul Gandhi ji. He gives excellent speeches, he raises the concerns, but he has not given solution. And yeah, our friends over here should, one last appeal is that we should also come up with solution. If the All India OBC Students Association wants to hold maybe on a Saturday, a black day, to bring to the notice of the entire country that the census should begin and the caste should be counted. I believe that we will be able to get the support of many social and political organizations, and this will be a great show, and this will be the real step towards counting caste in the census. This is all I had to say. I'm thankful. I'm sorry once again to be late, but this is my appeal, and I request you to kindly consider it seriously, because I am moving around in various states and speaking to many people, and my opinion has been accepted in many of the this backward classes conventions held in different states, especially in UP, Delhi, and even in Andhra Pradesh. Thank you, sir. Jai
Thank you
Samvidhan.
so much, sir, for your message.
all the audio is muted, so we cannot listen to it.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sai, you reduce mute.
Please continue, Kiran. I made my point.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Today, roundtable conference to Bihar and Telangana roadmap to India అనే దాని మీద ఇప్పటివరకు చాలామంది ప్రొఫెసర్స్ మరియు మిత్రులు మాట్లాడడం జరిగింది. ఈ సమావేశంలో పార్టిసిపేట్ చేస్తున్నటువంటి ప్రభంజన్ యాదవ్ గారు, అలాగే వట్టి జానయ్య యాదవ్ గారు ఈనాటి సమావేశానికి ఇనిషియేటివ్ తీసుకొని ఈ కార్యక్రమాన్ని నిర్వహిస్తున్నటువంటి ఆల్ ఇండియా ఓబీసీ స్టూడెంట్స్ అసోసియేషన్ జి కిరణ్ కుమార్ గారికి, అలాగే వారి కార్యవర్గానికి అందరికీ కూడా మరొకసారి కృతజ్ఞతలు తెలియజేస్తూ, బీసీ ఇంటలెక్చువల్ ఫోరం చైర్మన్ రిటైర్డ్ ఐఏఎస్ ఆఫీసర్ చిరంజీవి గారు చెప్పిన విధంగా చాలామంది నేను అబ్జర్వ్ చేయడం జరిగింది. ముఖ్యంగా భారతదేశంలో 1931 ఇయర్కి ఎంత అయితే ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఉండిందో 2025 ఇయర్స్ కూడా అంత ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఉంది. ఎందుకంటున్నానంటే భారతదేశంలో బ్రిటిష్ గవర్నమెంట్ సెన్సస్ ఆఫ్ చేసింది 1931లో. వారు దాదాపు 1881 నుంచి సెన్సస్ తీస్తూ 10 సంవత్సరాలకు ఒకసారి 1931లో బ్రేక్ చేయడం జరిగింది. దాని తర్వాత ఇండియాకు స్వతంత్రం వచ్చిన తర్వాత చాలామంది ఆర్గనైజేషన్స్, ఇంటలెక్చువల్స్, జర్నలిస్టులు, మేధావులు వీళ్ళంతా కూడా రిప్రజెంటేషన్స్ వచ్చిన గవర్నమెంట్ కల్లా చేసినా కూడా భారతదేశంలో ఇప్పటి వరకు కొన్ని రాష్ట్రాలు మాత్రమే, అందులో పర్టికులర్లీ బీహార్ పోయిన సంవత్సరం అనుకుంటా, ఐ థింక్ ఇప్పుడు 2025 తెలంగాణ ప్రభుత్వం 2025 అనేది బీసీలకు చరిత్రగా, అంటే ఆ ఇయర్ని చరిత్రగా చెప్పవచ్చు. ఎక్కడో ఒకడ స్టార్ట్ కావాలి కాబట్టి ఇందాక మిత్రులు చెప్పినట్టు బీసీ సెన్సస్కి సంబంధించి మొత్తానికైతే స్టార్ట్ అయింది. అందరి యొక్క విన్నపాలు, అందరి యొక్క ఆవేదన, అందరి యొక్క స్ట్రగుల్, వీటన్నిటి నేపథ్యంలో సెన్సస్ స్టార్ట్ చేసినందుకు నిజంగా కూడా లేట్గానైనా మనకు రావాల్సిన బీసీలకు రావాల్సిన వాటాలు కానీ, బీసీలకు రావాల్సిన దేశ సంపదలో వాటా కానీ అన్ని విభాగాల్లో వారి వాటాకు సంబంధించి లెక్కలు తేలుతాయన్న ఆశతోని చాలామంది జనాలు, బీసీ కులాలు, బీసీ సంఘాలు, బీసీ నాయకులు వీళ్ళంతా కూడా ఎదురు చూస్తున్నారు. మొత్తానికైతే 2025లో ఒక నివేదిక వచ్చింది, తెలంగాణ ప్రభుత్వం చేసినటువంటి సర్వే. ఆ నివేదిక తప్పుల తడకని మళ్ళీ అన్ని సంఘాలు గగ్గోలు పెట్టడంతో తెలంగాణ ప్రభుత్వం రీసర్వేకి అనౌన్స్ చేయడం జరిగింది. ఇదంతా బాగానే ఉంది, కానీ గవర్నమెంట్, కాంగ్రెస్ ప్రభుత్వం ఏదైతే తెలంగాణలో రాహుల్ గాంధీ వాళ్ళ హైకమాండ్ రాహుల్ గాంధీ చెప్పినట్టు సామాజిక న్యాయం కోణంలో చేస్తాము అని అంటున్నారు, కానీ పకడ్బందీ సర్వేని చేయలేకపోవడం చాలా అన్యాయం అనిపిస్తుంది. ఇటీవల కాంగ్రెస్ పెద్దలు బీసీ సమాజ్, బీసీ టైమ్స్ని కొంతమంది అప్రోచ్ అయినప్పుడు మేము వాళ్ళకు కొంత డాటా ఇచ్చాం. కుల సంఘాలతో పాటు ఇంతకుముందు ఎంబీసీ సర్పంచులు, అలాగే బీసీ సర్పంచులది దాదాపు 6,000 మందికి సంబంధించిన పాత సర్పంచుల లిస్టు, ఓన్లీ బీసీలకు సంబంధించిన సర్పంచుల లిస్టు. అందులో ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఆల్ దాదాపు 100 కులాలకు పైగా ఉన్నటువంటి బీసీ కులాలకు సంబంధించిన ఈ జాబితాను వాళ్ళకి సబ్మిట్ చేయడం జరిగింది. వాళ్ళు కులగణన సర్వేలో ఈ డాటా బాగా ఉపయోగపడుతుందని మేము అనుకుంటున్నాం. ఎందుకంటే ఈ తెలంగాణలో ఉన్నటువంటి బీసీల్లో 139 కులాలు ఉన్నటువంటి సమాజంలో అన్ని కులాలు కూడా అవేర్నెస్ లేకపోవడం, కొన్ని కులాల మధ్యన పొత్తు ఇది లేకపోవడం వల్ల సర్వేలు వాళ్ళు వచ్చినప్పుడు కొంత ఎట్లా ఏంది అనేది ఆ కుల పెద్దలకు కానీ, ఆ కుల పెద్దలకు సంబంధించిన అడ్రస్లు కానీ, ఆ కమ్యూనిటీస్ నుంచి వచ్చినటువంటి పొలిటికల్ రిప్రజెంటేటివ్స్ అందరినీ కూడా మా దగ్గర ఉన్నంత డాటాని, మా దగ్గర ఉన్న మేరకు డాటాని వాళ్ళకు అందజేయడం జరిగింది. ముఖ్యంగా మేము ఫీల్ అయ్యేది ఏంటంటే సమాజంలో ఇప్పుడు రీసర్వేకు గవర్నమెంట్ ఏదైతే అవకాశం కల్పించిందో దానికి తగ్గ ప్రచారం లేదు. గవర్నమెంట్ ఎట్లా నమోదు చేసుకోవాలి, దీన్ని ఎట్లా ముందుకు పోవాలి అనే దాని మీద చాలా వరకు ఆన్లైన్ అని, లేకుంటే నోడల్ ఆఫీస్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళమని, ఆర్డీఓల దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళమని రకరకాలుగా చెప్తున్నారు తప్ప దీనికి సంబంధించి క్యాంపెయిన్ సరైన పంతాలో లేదనేది అందరి ఆవేదన. దీనికి సంబంధించి గవర్నమెంట్ కరెక్ట్ ఇంతకుముందు తెలంగాణ టీఆర్ఎస్ ప్రభుత్వం చేసినప్పుడు సమగ్ర కుటుంబ సర్వే దానికి ఒక డే పెట్టి ఆ డేకి సంబంధించింది దాదాపు ఒక నెల రోజుల నుంచే ఆ డే కొరకు చాలా ప్రచారం చేసి ఒక ఈ యాక్టివిటీ చేయడానికి ఒక ఇది క్రియేట్ చేసినారు. అట్లనే కాంగ్రెస్ ప్రభుత్వం ఏదో మెప్పు వాళ్ళ హైకమాండ్ మెప్పు పొందడానికి ఏమో తెలియదు, కానీ వాళ్ళు సరైన పద్ధతుల్లో చేసినట్టయితే ఇండియాలో నెంబర్ 1 బీహార్ కంటే కాంగ్రెస్ కంటే కూడా కర్ణాటక కంటే కూడా ఈ జనాభా లెక్కల కులగణన విషయంలో మంచి పేరు వస్తుందని నేను ఆశిస్తున్నాను. కాబట్టి ఇప్పటికైనా రీసర్వేకి మొదలుపెట్టినటువంటి కాంగ్రెస్ ప్రభుత్వం సరైన పంతాల్లో పోతే వీటన్నిటికి కూడా ఈ వర్గాలన్నిటికీ కూడా న్యాయం జరుగుతుంది. ఇప్పటి వరకు ఉన్నటువంటి అవకతవకలన్నీ కూడా దేశంలో జరుగుతున్నటువంటి ఈ వివక్ష అనేది ఈ సర్వే ద్వారా ఇందాక రాజు అందరూ కూడా ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేసినారు. ఇది ఒక ఎక్స్రే అని, చాలా వరకు ఇది ఒక సర్జరీ అని రకరకాలుగా పేర్లు పెడుతున్నారు. కాబట్టి వీటన్నిటికి కూడా సర్వే కరెక్ట్ వస్తే తప్పనిసరిగా ఈ వర్గాలకు స్వతంత్రం వచ్చినప్పటి నుంచి జరగని న్యాయం 2025 సంవత్సరంలో కాంగ్రెస్ ప్రభుత్వం చేస్తున్నటువంటి సర్వే ద్వారా జరుగుతుంది మాత్రం చాలా మంది నమ్మే విషయం. కాబట్టి ఇప్పటికైనా కాంగ్రెస్ గవర్నమెంట్ అన్ని వర్గాల్ని బ్యాక్వర్డ్ క్లాస్లో ఉన్నటువంటి అన్ని వర్గాలతో పాటు సమాజంలో ఉన్నటువంటి అన్ని సెక్షన్లు కూడా దయచేసి వారి దగ్గరికి పోయే విధంగా, అంటే డోర్ టు డోర్ వెళ్ళి వాళ్ళ యొక్క లెక్కల్ని పరిగణలోకి తీసుకుంటే మాత్రం కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీకి మంచి పేరు వస్తుందని, అదేవిధంగా ఈ వర్గాలకు కూడా న్యాయం జరుగుతుందని నా ఇంటెన్షన్. ఈ అవకాశం ఇచ్చిన మిత్రుడు కిరణ్ కుమార్ గారికి మరోసారి థ్యాంక్ తెలియజేస్తూ థ్యాంక్ యూ.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సూర్యరావు సార్. ఎప్పటి నుంచో ఆర్గనైజేషన్ స్టార్టింగ్ కానీ లేకపోతే ఆర్గనైజేషన్ ముందుకు వెళ్ళడానికి మీ వంతు సహాయంగా చాలా వరకు నిల్చొని ఆర్గనైజేషన్ స్ట్రెంత్ రావడానికి కూడా మీరు మీ అందరూ కాంట్రిబ్యూషన్ ఉంది, దానికి కూడా ధన్యవాదాలు తెలుపుతూ ఇప్పుడు వీ హ్యావ్ విత్ అస్ సూర్యవర్ధన్ బబ్లూజీ, who is our unit president, so address the round table conference. Address.
ప్రొఫెసర్ ఆయన వెళ్ళిపోతున్నారు కదా అని కొన్ని అవుట్ సైడ్ తెచ్చుకునే డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఆయన వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఊపు వచ్చింది మంచి ఆఫీస్.
नमस्कार सभी को। आज ऑल इंडिया ओबीसी की स्टूडेंट एसोसिएशन की तरफ से आज हैदराबाद सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी में एक कास्ट सेंसस एक टॉक रखा गया है, जिसमें आप सभी आए हैं। आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत एवं अभिनंदन है। सभी ने अपनी अपनी बातें रखी और बहुत अनुभवी लोग आए हुए हैं यहाँ पे, और कुछ लोग जा भी चुके हैं जिन्होंने अभी सारी बातें रखी हैं कास्ट सेंसस को लेकर। तो सारी बातें लगभग हो चुकी हैं और अपनी अपनी बातें रखकर सभी ने बताया है कि कास्ट सेंसस क्यों जरूरी है। क्योंकि कास्ट सेंसस एक महत्वपूर्ण विषय है। कास्ट सेंसस इसलिए होना चाहिए क्योंकि हमें पता ही नहीं है कि हमारी आबादी कितनी है। 40-50 साल पहले कास्ट सेंसस हुआ, अंग्रेजों के जमाने में कास्ट सेंसस हुआ, तब से लेकर हमारी अब तक आबादी कितनी बढ़ी कितनी कम हुई, क्या हुआ, कोई आंकड़ा नहीं है हमारे पास। बिहार ने कास्ट सेंसस किया, हमें पता चला कि हमारी आबादी कितनी है। हम उस आबादी को लेकर, उन आंकड़ों को लेकर अपने हक के लिए लड़ सकते हैं। हम बता सकते हैं कि हमारी संख्या कितनी है। और हमारे पुराने नेताओं ने भी कहा है, समाजवादी जो बीसी आंदोलन को आगे लेके चले थे, उन्होंने कहा था कि जितनी संख्या भारी उसकी उतनी साझेदारी। तो इन्हीं सब चीजों को लेकर कास्ट सेंसस बहुत जरूरी है। और जैसा कि हम देखते हैं कि सारी कम्युनिटीज को लगभग कास्ट सेंसस ना होते हुए भी उनको आरक्षण मिला हुआ है। हम देखें SC ST कम्युनिटी को देखें तो उनको पूरी तरीके से उतना आरक्षण मिला हुआ है जितनी उनकी संख्या है। और अभी ईडब्ल्यूएस को लाकर जनरल कैटेगरी में जो आने वाली जातियां हैं उनको भी आरक्षण मिल चुका है। हम देखते